Shvat is a Jewish festival which is called the New Year for Trees. And it typically happens, the Jewish calendar moves around quite a bit, but it typically happens in kind of January, which seems like a strange time to be celebrating nature. But I'll talk a bit more about why that time of the year is important. In the few minutes I'm going to spend talking to you, I will share some of the texts from the Jewish faith, which really highlight a long-standing commitment within the Jewish faith to the environment. It goes right back to creation, whenever that was, depending on what your belief is about that. But a lot of the commentaries that have existed within from scholars talk a lot about the environment and our responsibilities. I'm also going to do in the time-honoured fashion with Jewish education, I'm going to probably pose more questions than maybe give you answers, but some things to think about. So I hope you'll find some of what I share with you rather interesting and hopefully so enlightening. So the festival is a celebration of nature, its fruits, and the divine tree reaching towards us. Again, this is from a text. When God created the world, the first action was to plant trees, as it is written, and God planted a garden of trees in Eden. I rather like this picture. I don't know if that was Eden, but I think it's a nice picture. A tree is like a person. To us, nature is God's creation, and we have to respect that creation. That's why the Jewish culture celebrates an entire holiday dedicated to trees. Tu B'Shvat is believed to be the day that sap rises in trees, and so it is considered the new year for trees. One of the ways the holiday is celebrated is by planting a tree. And as we now know, and I think we'll hear a bit more about that in a few minutes, the key contribution that makes in the battle against climate change. So here's going to be my first question. This is a text. This is from Genesis. God then blessed them, Adam and Eve, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and tame it, hold sway over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky, and over every animal that creeps on the earth." So the eternal God took people, placing them in the Garden of Eden, to work it and keep it. And so the question that I'm going to raise here, really just for you to think about, is, are we masters or servants of the earth? Are we here to hold sway, hold dominion over creation, or to serve it and care for it and look after it? Are we its stewards? So there are two principles that I want to share with you, which are associated with Tu B'Shvat and with this commitment to the environment. And I've described these as ancient lessons, which are so relevant for today. So the first one is Tikkun Olam. This has many interpretations, as anything in the Jewish faith. There are many commentaries and conflicting and different views, but many people, particularly within the liberal tradition, consider Tikkun Olam to be healing the world. And then the other principle is the principle of Baal Tashit, which I'll talk about in a moment. I'll talk a bit more about what that is. So Tikkun Olam, it's the Hebrew literally translated for world repair. And it has also come to connote social action and the pursuit of social justice. And I think it's very interesting that in the liberal synagogue we talk about this. We use it as the basis for teaching children about the environment, that our responsibility for repairing the world. But it is used in this broader context of our responsibility for repairing not just the physical environment, but also our social interactions. So if anybody wants to delve a bit deeper, this goes back into 16th century mystic Kabbalistic readings. So there's a reference there if you're interested. But I think it's interesting that we bring these two themes of our responsibility for the environment and for each other. We bring them together. So taking this a little bit further, where is this referenced in texts? So taking care of the world, when the Blessed Holy One created the first human being, he took them and led them round the trees of the Garden of Eden and said to them, "Look at my works, how beautiful and praiseworthy they are. All that I have created, I created for you. Be careful that you do not corrupt and destroy my world. If you corrupt it, there is no one to repair it after you." And I think that lesson, again, we can question where the origin of these texts, but this is ancient text, ancient writing, and yet to me, it just resonates so strongly with where we are currently. So the second area is Baal Tashit. This is probably less known, but I think as interesting. The principle of Baal Tashit prohibits the needless waste of anything, from food to fuel. Today, in light of the environmental crisis, using disposables, leaving the lights on unnecessarily, overutilization of air conditioning or driving a car when it's not necessary, might all be considered a violation of the principle of Baal Tashit. Again, something that we talk to the children in the synagogue about and help them to really bring forward from ancient times some of the principles that we think need to be brought into today. So finally, I don't have time to give you the meditation that I was considering, but I'd just like you to think about an opportunity to plant a tree. And Ravinda suggested that it's timely, but I think also think about the analogy of the seed. And I hope I planted some seeds of thought for you. And the other message is a campaign I'm going to try and launch over the next few weeks, which is really helping people to think that a tree is not just for Christmas. So finally, in this festival season, consider planting and gifting a tree, and there are many ways of doing that. Thank you.